Today we're going to be breaking down the UFC 313 main card, and obviously it's headlined by Pereira vs Ankalaev. And before I even talk about the main card, I just want to say the main card, it is the most even fights I've seen in a while on the main cards. Like when you look on fights that you're going to bet on or your predictions, it's hard to pick who's going to win. I think most fights on the main card, if not all of them, are dead close. I know obviously Michel Rufi vs Bobby Green, the bookies have got like Bobby Green is like a wild underdog, and like I think that fight's close. I think all of the fights are super close and they can definitely go either way. But let's start with the big one, the main event, Alex Pereira vs Ankalaev. And if either person wins, there's big ramifications for both of them. If Alex Pereira wins, his legacy is like unquestionable then. He is really close to entering the top of UFC fighters in history. And if he beats, I'd arguably say his hardest challenge to date, Dagestani, only one loss, and it was to Paul Craig in like the last second with a submission. And Ankalaev's the real deal. If he can beat Ankalaev, I think his stock is so high, and everything he's done is just, he could go down as one of the best fighters of all time. Ankalaev as well. If Ankalaev wins, beats Pereira, if he's the one to beat Pereira, same again. His record is amazing. Obviously beats over Johnny Walker, Thiago Santos, loads, nearly the whole lightweight division he's beat, and light heavyweight, sorry. And this fight though, it is very close. I personally cannot see Ankalaev finishing Pereira. I can't see it. I can only see a decision win for Ankalaev. But vice versa, I can't see Pereira winning by decision. I can only see Pereira winning by KO or TKO. And my prediction is Alex Pereira by TKO. I think, or KO, like Alex Pereira by finish. And I think it'll be early too. I can't see Alex Pereira doing what he done with Khalil, where he wins later on in the rounds. And Khalil's kind of won the first couple rounds, or maybe not won, but he definitely dominated. But Alex Pereira was so sick in that fight, really ill, and he had a horrible weight cut. And if you look at all the other fights before, Yuri destroyed, Jamal Hill destroyed, Yuri the fight before, people were saying it was quite close, but I thought Alex Pereira done a really good job and obviously won. And then like people are saying like, oh, Jan Blachowicz took him down, held him down, controlled him on the ground. That was years ago. That was like 3 years ago. Like, you're not telling me Glover Teixeira is not wrestling with Alex Pereira every day, consistently, making sure he does not get taken down. You're telling me Glover Teixeira is not doing that? I think 3 years, and it's been working towards this. His last 4 fights, Yuri, Khalil, and Jamal Hill, and then obviously Yuri again, and even Adesanya, the 2 fights before that. But Jan Blachowicz, they're all strikers. I don't get any threat of Jamal Hill taking me down, of Yuri Prochazka taking him down. I don't see any threat of that. They're just drilling, striking, maybe a bit of wrestling defence, but the wrestling defence is for this fight. They've been working years for this fight, I think, anyway. Couple of things that do worry me about Alex Pereira. One, what even is his training camp? He's just cornered Sean Strickland on the last pay-per-view in Australia. Like, that is concerning. The time difference. And don't get me wrong, I think they are quite calculated in that gym. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, should we do this? Should we not do it? Oh, let's just do it. Why not? I think it's, no, we can do this. And then obviously they'll still be training. And that is worrying though, his training camp, where obviously Ankalaev's grinding his ass off. But the biggest thing to talk about for Ankalaev, it's Ramadan. It's Ramadan. The whole week, he's not going to be eating all day. He's going to be starving himself all day, not drinking, not eating in the night. His sleeping schedule's probably messed up because of that. Same again, fight night. he wouldn't have ate or drank for most of the day. Like, that can't be good for you. That can't be. Obviously, there will be ways around it where, like, you can eat at a certain time, fight it, and train at a certain time in the week. But the actual fight day, his fight's set at a certain time. So, I don't know, like, that is such a huge issue. When we look at the actual fighting, though, Alex Pereira, that left hook, nasty, just the most vicious shot in the whole of MMA at the moment is Alex Pereira's left hook. And if you watch the Rakic fight, Rakic was tagging him on the feet with his boxing, with his hooks. Ankalaev, when he rushes in, he kind of leaves his hands down sometimes, and can Alex Pereira counter and knock him out with that? I do think he can. I really think he can. But the biggest thing that I think is going to make the biggest difference is the leg kicks. We've seen Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz, I don't think has as good leg kicks as Alex Pereira. I think Alex Pereira maybe has the best leg kicks in the UFC. And because he doesn't even like turn his hip over enough, he disguises it so well, kicks the calf so good, and you've seen in all his fights, he's a master of hiding them. And I think against Ankalaev, that lead leg calf kick is going to play a huge effect. And I think it'll really stop Ankalaev's movement. We've seen in the Jan Blachowicz fight, he can't take calf kicks that well. Do I think Alex Pereira will utilise that well? I do. I really do. Ankalaev, now let's look at him. He's not the type of fighter who runs in, shoots a double leg straight away, shoots a single leg straight away. He likes getting takedowns from the cage. He likes getting takedowns on against the wall. And I definitely think he could take Alex Pereira down. I think this is a real close fight. I think if Ankalaev gets him down in that first round, that'll be the telling one. Because if he gets Pereira down and then Pereira just stands straight back up, maybe that'll play on Ankalaev's mind, play on Alex Pereira's mind, give him some confidence. If he takes him down instantly in like the first minute and keeps him down for 4 minutes, that is not a good look for either fighter. For Alex Pereira, What I do want to say though is Alex Pereira is the type to get dominated for 4 rounds and then knock Ankalaev out in the 5th round. He has that power. Do I think Ankalaev has that power where he can KO Alex Pereira? I don't. But what I can see is maybe he gets the Dagestani handcuff, the wrist ride, landing shots on the floor, and maybe getting the finish there. I would say if Ankalaev's going to win it, it's going to be by decision. But because I just think he will make it a bit boring. He'll get the takedowns, he'll keep him up against the cage, keep them knees to the stomach, to the legs. He has said that he's going to he's not going to shoot a takedown, he's going to try and stand with him. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll realise the power and think, oh my god, what is this? Shoot him for a takedown or get him against the cage and start working his clinch game. It's hard to bet against, like the famous saying, you don't bet against a Dagestani. But the new saying is you don't bet against Alex Pereira. And I do think Alex Pereira is going to win by knockout. I'm going to go round 2. I think he might drop him in round 1 and then round 2 will be the one. I can't see it being any later than that. Maybe he can get dominated and then knock him out in the last round. That would be amazing, but I can't see it. I'm going to go round 2 knockout for Pereira. Moving on to the next fight, Justin Gaethje with Rafael Fiziev. And this fight I am looking forward to. Even though it's a short notice, 2 weeks replacement, I love their first fight. I might be wrong in this, or people might come at me for this, but I think Rafael Fiziev won that first fight. I do. I think he won round 1. I think round 2 was close, but I do think he won. And then round 3, obviously, got the big, his eyes swelled up and his face looked horrible at the end. And I do think Fiziev won. I thought he'd done more damage. And when you're looking at this fight now, Fiziev's obviously had 2 years off, had a disgusting knee injury. But, like, I'm obviously travelling now. I've been to Tiger Muay Thai, see Fiziev there training all the time. If you look at the Tiger Muay Thai's Insta story and their Insta, he's training all the time, teaching all the classes. And if you're that confident taking a 2 weeks replacement fight when you've been off for 2 years, that tells me you're ready to go. That's what that tells me. That tells me I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm recovered. Maybe I had some other injuries that I've let heal better. And Gaethje, he has had a long time off. He's had nearly a year off. But look at the last fight. Obviously, one of the best knockouts of all time. Maybe the best knockout of all time. I know Joe Rogan says that. It's the best knockout of all time. And what people are forgetting is he was getting dominated that whole fight. Max Holloway was staying on the outside, picking him off, using that jab. His boxing was so good. And the spinning back kick to the nose, where he broke his nose in the last second of the first round, that was a huge issue. If Rafael Fiziev can catch Justin Gaethje on the nose again and break his nose again. Another thing, Justin Gaethje asked Dan Hooker for 3 rounds. I'm not sure if that was confirmed, but that it seemed online like it was basically confirmed. He asked for it to be changed from 5 to 3 rounds. That tells me he wasn't as confident to go 5 rounds with Dan Hooker. Maybe that he's got an injury, his cardio's not that good, or maybe he's just worried for that fight. Rafael Fiziev, 3 rounds, it's fine for both of them really. And I don't think the 3 round benefits either person. The fact that Justin Gaethje's asked Dan Hooker fight to go from 5 to 3, I think if it would have still been 5, it obviously would have benefited Gaethje training all that time, 4 or 5 rounds, where Fiziev would have been hard to step in 2 weeks notice, 4 or 5 rounds. So it's good that it is 3 rounds for both of them. I think when we look at Justin Gaethje, obviously he's got the power. I don't think either person's going to knock the other person out. I don't. There's obviously going to be no wrestling. Obviously Justin Gaethje is quite good at wrestling, but I don't think he will wrestle. I definitely don't think he'll wrestle. He's obviously, his last couple fights, I think if he beats Fiziev here, he has a chance of getting a title shot. And maybe that's playing on his mind where he'll give it extra. He'll try his absolute hardest. He has to win. But I don't think he will. I think the first round, Fiziev, obviously Fiziev slows down a bit as the fights go, because in that first round he unloads so many kicks. His switch kicks, him and Edson Barboza have the best switch kicks I've ever seen in the UFC. So good. Fiziev kicks, I think that's what's going to play the part. I think he likes fighting in close range with his boxing, but he also can fight on the outside with his kicks, his leg kicks, his switch kicks to the body, just his right body kicks, to be honest, to the body. And I think that's what will really give Fiziev the edge. I think first round he will come out pretty fast, but then round 2 and 3, I felt like he still kept a wild energy in his last fight. I think he'll manage the fight a bit better this fight. And also, something to say, Rafael Fiziev's had nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose. You lose to Justin Gaethje on 2 weeks notice. Oh, it's alright, go fight the winner, Jalen Turner versus Bahamondes, who we'll talk about next. If he wins, he's up there then he can ask for Arman Tsarukyan or Max Holloway, which I think would be a sick fight, Fiziev versus Max Holloway. But I am going to go Rafael Fiziev by decision. Don't think Gaethje will have the power to knock him out, and I think Fiziev will be too much on the feet. I think his kicks will be too much, and I think he'll keep him at range really well with them body kicks. He might even hit Gaethje, because what I can't look over that knockout. I can't look over that last fight against Max Holloway. He's been preparing for Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's massive, keeping him at range with them long arms, great boxing, absolute dog of a fighter. And Fiziev, a little bit similar, he is a dog, but he likes fighting in close range, and he's got nasty kicks. Not very similar to Dan Hooker. So I am going Fiziev by decision. Let me know what you think. I've seen a lot. This same again, such a close fight, but I am going Fiziev by decision. On to the next fight, Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. This fight, I think, is going to be a sick fight. I do see a finish in this fight. I am going to go Bahamondes by knockout. I think his last fight in the Sphere, star of the show really with that knockout. He's got a great team, obviously trains with Bilal Muhammad. Maybe we'll see Bahamondes do some grappling. I don't know if he will. because I think he will get the better of Jalen Turner on the feet. Both of them are used to fighting smaller opponents. They're massive for the lightweight division. And they're both the same size, both 6'2". So will that hinder one of them? Will one of them not be used to fighting someone that big? Jalen Turner, nasty, absolute nasty finish against Bobby Green. Horrible to watch. That one was. Referee was awful there. But against Moicano, drops Moicano first round, nearly gets a walk-off finish. Is the fight against Bobby Green playing in his mind there? Maybe. Tries to get the walk-off finish, doesn't, and then I don't know what happened in that second round. I don't like to use the word that a fighter gave up. I can't imagine that a fighter in the UFC, national telly, I think that was at UFC 300 as well, weren't it? Gave up. I can't see that, but Moicano destroyed them in the grappling and then finished them on the floor. Both of these fighters, this is again such an even match, and Jalen Turner's obviously fought way better fighters than Bahamondes. He obviously lost to Gamrot, but that fight was pretty close too. Definitely beat Gamrot on the feet. And Jalen Turner definitely has the power and the ability to knock out Bahamondes. But Bahamondes' head kicks, they are amazing. That last head kick, that right head kick, nasty work against Jalen Turner, against his last opponent in the Sphere, and Manuel Torres, I think it was. And Jalen Turner, he has great power, he has good knockout ability, but he's 14-8. I don't know, I can't back him after that last performance. Maybe he will win. I can definitely see him winning. I can. But me personally, I do think Bahamondes is going to score the knockout win. I think it is going to be by a head kick too. Moving on to the next fight, Amanda Lemos versus Jasmine Lucindo. And Lucindo, fair play to her for having that many fights at that young of an age. She's 23 years old and had more fights than Amanda Lemos. Amanda Lemos is late 30s. Both of them have great power. That is something, like, especially in women's MMA, it is a little bit rarer. But Amanda Lemos, when I watched that fight against Weili Zhang, she got absolutely schooled. She had nothing for Weili Zhang, and don't be wrong, Weili Zhang might be the greatest women's fighter of all time. So not a huge issue that she is getting dominated, but Jasmine Lucinda, she has the power. She's younger. She's a dog too. She doesn't mind having a scrap, and I think she's going to get the job done. I like the idea of a finish in this fight for either woman. I do like the idea of a finish, and I am going to go that. I can definitely see it going to decision, but same again, this fight. This is such a close fight, but I'm going to go Jasmine Lucinda by knockout. I think it will be later on in the fight, maybe round 2 or round 3. But I am going to go Jasmine Lucinda by finish. Moving on to the last fight, Bobby Green versus Mauricio Hufi. And this fight, the bookies are so disrespectful to Bobby Green. Obviously, pretty bad loss against Paddy Pimblett in his last fight. I think that tainted people's minds of how good Bobby Green was. If you look at the fight before that against Jim Miller, Jim Miller's face was destroyed by the end of it. He did get dropped in that fight though. Obviously, like I just said before, horrible finish against Jalen Turner. He got his head smashed. Oh, it was horrible to watch. If you haven't watched it, go and watch that fight. It is horrible finish. Referee was awful, and he has took a lot of damage. But Mauricio Hufi, his last fight was close. People are acting like he's this crazy guy who knocks everyone out in the first round. Close fight his last fight was, and I have seen a lot of people backing Mauricio Hufi, and he can definitely win. I have seen pretty much everyone saying that he's going to win by knockout. But for this one, I'm going to go a bit of an upset on this one. I'm going to go Bobby Green by decision. Think his hands are so fast. He keeps his hands down though, which I'm not a huge fan of in this fight. And I think this is obviously the biggest step for Hufi, but if he gets past this, obviously he's then fighting high up the division. I think the UFC want to push him pretty fast because, like, do I think he deserved this fight? I don't know. Maybe he could have fought another close contender, maybe like a Joel Alvarez or someone in that region, a Fares Siam, someone like that. But if he wins this fight, fair play to him. Very good win on his record, probably the best win on his record. If he wins by knockout in the first round, which I've seen a lot of people predicting, amazing win. But I am going to go Bobby Green by decision. Let me know what you think for the whole card. Now, who you think's going to win and what you think they're going to win by, especially that main event. Do you think Pereira or Ankalaev's going to win? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you later.